Hello, class. This is your professor, Dr. Brian Lippincott, and I'm a professor of psychology at the John F. Kennedy School of Psychology at National University. And I'm a flow neuroscience coach, and I'm a clinical psychologist. And I would like to talk to you a little bit about the genogram and why it's important, and especially why it's important for the therapist's own family to study their own genogram and understand their own history, so they can really learn about other people and learn about themselves and learn about the history of people and how the deeper family issues that go back generations impact our lives. So I'm going to share my screen now and show you this video. And this is going to be covering the genogram and the family dynamics in Sigmund Freud's family, which is quite interesting, and also in John F. Kennedy's family, the Kennedy-Bouvier family. I'm going to share my screen.
Today, we are going to deconstruct the genogram. This multidimensional clinical map allows us to track multi-generational family functioning with the precision of a tactical grid. The clinical thesis here is precise. Human beings do not exist in a vacuum. We are inextricably interwoven into complex, continuously adapting family systems. To test this map, we will examine the historical matrices of two heavily scrutinized subjects, Sigmund Freud and John F. Kennedy. We will plot their advanced systemic topography, identifying structural anomalies, trauma pileups, emotional cutoffs, and mechanisms of systemic resilience. To truly understand the pathology or the genius of an individual, a clinician must first zoom out and map the hidden matrix that created them. This node maps the 1855 marriage of Jacob and Amalia. Their birth dates reveal a structural discrepancy. Jacob was 40, Amalia 20. Tracing lines left reveals Jacob's adult sons from a previous marriage were older than their teenage stepmother. This proximity established a volatile mother, son, and stepbrother triangle. It is the exact systemic friction that fueled Sigmund's later childhood fantasies about a secret affair between Amalia and his stepbrother Philip. To manage this intense systemic anxiety, Jacob engineered a clinical adaptation. He established safe distances by physically exiling his two adult sons to England. Long before a child is even born into a system, these structural anomalies dictate the physical and emotional proximity of every family member. Systems are constantly tested by horizontal stressors. These are plotted chronologically, capturing both predictable developmental transitions and unpredictable sudden life events. This section reveals a rapid cascade of losses for the Freuds between 1856 and 1859, beginning with the death of infant Julius. Trauma compounded quickly. The family faced financial ruin, public disgrace over a counterfeiting scheme, and the nanny's imprisonment. The system deployed a defensive adaptation to survive. Amalia hyper-focused her emotional bandwidth and resources onto Sigmund, elevating him to the position of golden child. This favored status extracted a severe systemic cost through sibling alienation. When his sister Anna received a piano, Sigmund complained that the noise disturbed his studies. The family permanently removed the instrument. When a family system suffers heavy compounding trauma, it often survives by placing a disproportionate compensatory weight onto a single chosen node. As the timeline moves to young adulthood, we observe sibling splicing, the phenomenon of interlocking double sibling marriages between families. This creates a state of deep emotional fusion. A sharp imbalance emerged in the system. Eli Bernays had the financial means to marry Anna Freud quickly. Sigmund, lacking resources, was forced into a delayed 3-year engagement to Martha Bernays. Stripped of control and harboring deep financial envy, Sigmund executed an extreme clinical response against his own relatives. He issued an either-or ultimatum, demanding Martha cut ties with her family, and he enacted a retaliatory boycott of his own sister Anna's wedding. This is a severe emotional cutoff, but cutoffs rarely eliminate tension. This node displays the inevitable multi-generational triangle that formed when Martha's sister Minna moved into the Freud household. Minna occupied the bedroom adjacent to the master suite and became Sigmund's closest intellectual confidant. Two-person relationships are highly unstable under stress, often drawing in a third party, and in this case, pointing to a covert affair. Emotional cutoffs never resolve systemic tension. They merely displace the anxiety into new, highly charged triangles. We now shift to the vertical axis. Here, we track inherited roles, rigid expectations, and historical traumas passed down through generations. The Freud system enforced a strict female caretaking mandate. Sister Dolphy remained unmarried, structurally positioned as lifelong caretaker for Mother Amalia. Moving down one generation reveals an exact replication. Daughter Anna sacrificed her independence to become Sigmund's primary caretaker. These cycles are ultimately governed by the Great Mandala, the Wheel of Life, where internal family operations collide with sweeping historical macrosystems. In 1938, the rise of the Nazis forced the Freud family to flee to London. To survive, the entire system had to migrate as a single unit, pulling Anna's partner, Dorothy, along with them. What appear to be individual life choices are actually heavily constrained by vertical family mandates and inescapable historical forces. To stress test this model, we apply the genogram to a family possessing immense resources, yet burdened by unrelenting historical traumas, the Kennedys. The public points to a superstition of a Kennedy curse. The clinical mapping reality reveals an extraordinary horizontal trauma pileup, a relentless barrage of tragedy. Plane crashes and assassinations systematically decimated the older siblings, destroying the fragile male line meant to carry the family's patriarchal legacy. This forced a rapid systemic adaptation. The entire weight of the family's expectations triggered a total sibling constellation reversal, landing squarely on the youngest brother. Ted Kennedy instantly warped his position in the system, assuming the heavy caretaker burden and vast political legacy designed for his older brothers. When a system's primary structure is destroyed by horizontal stressors, surviving members must warp their identities to bear the remaining load. Examining Jackie Bouvier's side of the matrix introduces the complexity of fluid, multi-nuclear family boundaries. Her early life was defined by structural fractures. Her parents separated when she was 7, and she had to navigate a blended household of step-siblings when her mother remarried at 13. Despite different origins, the Kennedy and Bouvier systems shared deeply ingrained coping mechanisms: covert interpersonal conflict, spouses trained to remain silent, and highly guarded family secrets. But the ultimate power of the genogram is its ability to track systemic resilience. For the Kennedys, the tragedy of Rosemary Kennedy's lobotomy served as a critical catalyst. Eunice Kennedy transgenerationally processed her sister's trauma. She channeled that specific systemic grief outward, driving the creation of the monumental Mental Health Center Act of 1963. The genogram proves that symptoms, behaviors, and achievements never emerge in a vacuum. Nothing in human behavior or pathology exists in isolation. By mapping the precise intersections of structure, time, and legacy, clinicians make the invisible visible and help families finally find their flow.